Let's officially start. Yeah, thank you so much, Barbara, for starting the recording. And dear colleagues, thank you so much for coming today to this webinar that we organized. So today we have Wayan with us, Wayan Vota, and Wayan is a name that probably you already know and you already heard. He has been shown in the New York Times and other media. Uh, but Wayan is also the founder of the Substack Career Pivot, and he has been very helpful to helping people pivot their career and find jobs. So you follow him on LinkedIn, you can see how he is very kind even to celebrate when people find jobs, and he created a community. Uh, like that's how I see it. He offers services to help you pivot, but he also created a community to provide support to each other. And today we are very grateful, Ryan, for you to come here and share your knowledge with us. Um, so we have we're going as people trickle in. What we ask you is to, if you have a question, put it in the chat box, and Lisa, my colleague Lisa Sherburne, will be um, moderating the questions, and we'll start asking questions to Ryan as we go in. Also, when he shares his screen, if for some reason the whatever he's showing is too small, you can double click and it will expand it. We'll make it bigger for you. Yeah. So, Ryan, over to you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your attention. I do appreciate it. So I'm going to go through a process, a way to think about employment using generative AI. Um, at the same time, the idea here is that you can use this process with any role that you want to have, and you can change roles and seek new roles. You don't have to feel you're typecast and whatever you did before or whatever you think is your first idea. Like I shared earlier, I went through three totally different job ideas, roles, before I found something that fit me. So it's okay to change. And we will be talking about AI, but I want to be really clear. AI is an overeager graduate assistant. It is not you. You are always in control, and you should always be in control. And you should never take a generative AI output and copy paste and send that out into the world. Just like you would never take an overeager graduate assistant's work and copy paste and send it out into the world as your own. You would always review and always edit. So please always do that. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen because I want to have some fun and give you some nice ideas on how to work through this. And again, as I go through and do this, please ask your questions in the chat so that I can respond to them in real time. All right, so I have a few different things I'm going to do, and I'm going to base my conversation using this presentation, but then I have all these other pages and content I'm going to go to as we go along. All right. So, why would you listen to me? Well, besides the concept of career pivot, I've already written four different toolkits that you can use to use AI as a way to accelerate your job search, be noticed, and get hired. Because that's my goal. I want you to get a job. Unemployment for me personally is my worst nightmare. And I lived my worst nightmare for 3.5 months at the beginning of this year. God, I hated it. So my goal is that you don't have to experience it. You can use AI to get past it. So just as a quick level set, what is AI? And so here's a question for you. Um, and I think the way this presentation is set up, you're going to see the answer as I show it, but here we're going to have some fun. Do you trust AI in your life? And when I ask this question, most people say, oh, no, I don't trust AI in my life. Well, if you ever use Netflix or Gmail or spell check or Alexa or Google Maps, you're using different types of AI. And then question, do you train AI in your spare time? Most people would say, hell no, I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to make those Silicon Valley tech bros any richer. Well, every time you tell something that you don't want to see an ad, or you click on an Netflix or a TikTok, or you report spam, you are training AI. Sad but true. And I say that because I want to make sure you realize that AI is not just generative AI. There are multiple different types of AI. It's been around since the 60s, and there are different types to think about, and generative AI is just one of them, though that'll be a big focus of today. I personally came up with 7 different types of AI systems. I'm sure you could ask AI how many types there are, and they would come up with a dozen or 50 or who knows. So this is just my vision of the types of AI systems, but this isn't an end all. But you can see here in the concept of create, number 6, generative AI is creating new text and ideas and information versus these other systems. So how can we use generative AI? Well, I think there are three types of people. There are early adopters. I try to be an early adopter of AI, but for example, I'm not an early adopter of TikTok. In fact, I would be the last person. I'd be a reluctant adopter when I'm forced to deal with it. And then there are casual adopters, so people who enjoy AI tools on occasion, other times not. So you can pick your own adventure on how deep you want to get into generative AI tools. Um, then in this concept, here are some definitions that I'll be using. So artificial intelligence, large language model, generative AI, conversational AI. So these are all different types and different definitions of what we're going to be dealing with today. Now, how can you use AI tools, especially like in the job search process? Well, one way is you can use it as an intern or an analyst, which is how I often use it. You can also use it as a brainstorming partner, which I think is a great way. Also, a critic, you can say, look at my resume, what's wrong with it? And it will tell you. And then you can, a teacher, you can ask it to teach you things or help you understand things. My favorite is, dear generative AI, what prompt should I use to get this outcome? And it will tell you. Amazing. So yes, you can use AI to teach you about AI. So here under those the four categories are different ways and things that you can use AI for, generative AI to be exact. But please always, always edit the output. It is an overeager graduate assistant. It is not you. You are the human. Stay in control. Okay. There are a bunch of different tools. Each tool has its skill in a different way. Use the tool that you're comfortable with, or don't use the tool that you don't like. I will be using ChatGPT and Perplexity today, but I also use Claude. I don't really use Gemini or Copilot, but that's me for what I care about. Um, Generally, all 5 of them have similar solutions, similar features. All 5 of them have giant limitations as well. By the way, I'm happy to share this deck with you after the call, so don't try to write all this down at the same time. But just understand that all 5 are good, all 5 have issues. It's the reality. Um, Now, most of the time, we're going to be prompting these tools to help us, and that's called prompt engineering. And here's the main thing to remember. You need to be very clear in what you ask. You give it a role, you tell it the task, you give it the format that you want the answer in. That's the simplest way to think about it. So instead of tell me about electric cars, you want to say you're an impartial car reviewer, analyze these advantages, and present a balanced report. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about prompts. And again, there are a lot of things to be clear about in prompt safety. Number one, generally, is do not share information with a generative AI tool that you wouldn't share anywhere else. So that's the kind of the main thing. Like, don't put passwords or anything like that. Um, and there are many, many tools to help you be better at prompting. So I'm not going to go deep. You can do this on your own time after the call. But I want to talk about AI in your job search.
Um, Sorry, Wyan, there's a
Yep,
great question in the chat.
sure.
Um, Aaliyah asks, can we rely on the free versions of the tools for most
Hmm.
of quality generation, or are paid versions better?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually prefer, okay, so the difference between free and paid. If it is a free product, sorry, if it's a free solution, you are the product. They will take the data that you put in the tool and use that data to train future models. What that means in practice, I'm not sure, but you are not in control of your data if you're using a free tool. Personally, I pay. I would rather pay for a tool and know that my data is more safe, not 100% safe, but more safe. And also, most of these tools, if you pay, you get a higher level of solutions, higher level of functionality. And I look at it this way. If you use an AI tool and it helps you get a job a week faster than if you use the free version, the pay difference is going to be a few hundred, if not a few $1,000s in that week alone. Way more than the $20 cost per month of using an AI tool. So I look at it as $20 to use it for a month versus getting a job several weeks or a month faster. I'll pay the 20 bucks to get a job faster. That's my view. Hopefully that answers the question. Um, I personally believe you should, but you know, your budget and your decision to purchase is up to you. Okay. There's a process to find a job. Um, I've talked to recruiters, I've talked to career coaches, I've done experiments myself, I've read tons of books, and essentially there are 7 steps to get a new job. They do not start with applying crazily to every job opportunity out there. So most people do, but it's definitely not what you should do. Here are the 7 steps overall. Um, the first step is to think through, what are your career accomplishments? What are you happiest about doing? Second, from those, figure out, what are your marketable skills? What do people want to hire you to do that is based on the accomplishments you are proud of? Third, choose a role that is focused on those accomplishments, achieving those accomplishments, that uses those skills in an industry that you feel comfortable with and in companies that match your values. Then build a professional network to understand better those companies, that industry, and the role that you want to have. And then you come up with a employment hypothesis. For example, companies want to hire me, Wayan Vota, as a digital transformation director because I know how to use all these amazing technology and tools, including generative AI, to help a company achieve better outcomes. That's my employment hypothesis. I went to market with that, and I had great fun in having talking to people and figuring out, is that something they would pay for, and which companies do I want to work for that will do something like that. And as you refine and understand what people will hire you for, then refine your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn, and start applying for jobs, but don't apply blindly. You want to network your way in. You want to find ways in which you can be applying to job ads where it's a warm application. What's that mean? As in, you know the hiring manager, or you know somebody who can influence the hiring manager, so that when you send in your application, it's not a cold application. You send in your application and the employer says, "Ooh, I'm so excited Wayne has applied. Definitely going to put him on the short list and interview him." That's what you want to happen. But it's a process to get there. If you just start today and say, "Oh, that's a great job ad, looks perfect. I'm perfect for it," and you send in your resume, good luck. I think there's a lot of people who do that, and they send hundreds of resumes in and maybe get 2 or 3 interviews. Some people have gotten a job that way. I think it's kind of like playing the lottery, and I don't like to play the lottery with my employment. Okay, Let's go into step one, identifying your career accomplishments. Here's a prompt you can put in to a generative AI tool. Again, pick the one that you like. I like to start with ChatGPT, but I'm also most familiar with it. Um, and then you want to identify your career accomplishments. So I'm going to give you an example. Here is my CV. I attached it and I said, review the attached CV. What are my 10 most important accomplishments if I want to be a digital transformation director at a private sector company? Translate those accomplishments into marketable skills, create a ranking for those skills and show me the ranking. Rank the skills based on market demand and average salary. So I did that. And it told me, here are my top skills. And A, it's great, makes me feel wonderful. I did something with my life. Now it tells me the market demand and the salaries for those skills. So I can take to myself thinking, hmm, do I want to do generative AI solution architecture? Personally, no, that's way too techy for me. Digital transformation, road mapping, and visioning, that sounds like me. Strategic initiative, design and development, AI governance and responsible innovation, less so. Um, Digital investment and public-private partnerships, no, I don't like doing that. So this is the concept that the AI will give you options. You are the human, you're in control. You figure out which option you want to take. And then it's great. It gave me a summary for my personal pitch and the next steps to maximize my marketability. Now, it's an over-year graduate assistant. Every generative AI tool is like this. So don't take this as, oh, that's exactly what I should do. Take it as advice and then decide whether you want to do that or not. But it does give me target roles and things that it wants me to do. Okay. So we've already gone here and found my marketable skills. And here's interesting, choose the role, industry, and company that I would want to work in. So I actually like Perplexity best for this action. So I went over to Perplexity, and if you notice, these first two paragraphs are the exact same thing as this paragraph here. So I'm using AI output from one to put in another. And I told it what I want to be. And then I said my core humanitarian values of improving people's lives using technology. By the way, it did come back and ask me, Perplexity asked me, tell me more about your core humanitarian values. And I said, I really wanted to work in healthcare. I really wanted to improve healthcare equity. So that was part of the aspect of what it's coming back because it wanted to understand more of this core humanitarian value. So it said, here are sectors and companies to think about. Here are sectors ranked by humanitarian values alignment. Healthcare is highest because that's also what I said. And then it gives me some ideas here. And now the top 10 healthcare companies for me to look at for digital transformation roles and how they align, right? So it's saying that Johnson and Johnson has the greatest alignment for my personal goals. Now, when you do this, put in your goal, your values, not my values, obviously. Put in your values so you get your own ranking. So this tells me where I should be looking and what I should be thinking about. And so getting back here, it tells me what I should be thinking about and where I should be thinking. You all with me so far?
Yeah, this is terrific. The comment in the chat is, could you share your presentation slides? So we
Yes.
definitely all want to get these. Thank you.
Yes, happy to share it afterwards. And please copy paste these prompts, edit these prompts, make these prompts yours, improve on the prompts. By the way, a great way to do this is to actually ask generative AI, hey, what prompt could I use to get this answer? Tell me the prompt. And it will tell you the prompt. And then you turn around and copy that prompt and paste it in and say, great, this is what I want. All right. So I have now found that these are different
Um,
healthcare.
sorry,
Sorry.
Wyan,
Yes, ma'am.
We saw that you had mentioned Google Dreamer on the slide. Could you talk about that just a little bit?
Sure.
Thanks.
Um, Google Dreamer is one that I have worked with in the past. So Google Dreamer is pretty interesting. Here, it's very much a playful way. So um, we're gonna say, you know, share a current or previous role. And so I'm gonna say project manager. And now it's going to ask me, it's going to say, great, I'm going to be thinking about what roles could you do as a project manager? And Career Dreamer will ask you, like, what did you do? Well, let's see, I did that, I did that. Um, by the way, there's this phrase here, cross-functional teams. I never heard of this phrase before January when I started looking for a job, but now it's everywhere. So one thing to think about is what are the key themes and keywords in a job ad, and how should you reflect that in your um, whatchamacallit, in your CV and LinkedIn and online profile. So just be looking for these key phrases. Okay, so I told it 3 tasks that I'd worked on, and now it's going to think for a little bit. And 3 skills, so project planning, team leadership, and risk management. And by the way, you can, of course, make this yours. So here is a kind of an idea of where you're going. And you can also, regenerate and change. So it'll now think of all the different paths that one could do. By the way, the first time I did this with a little bit of accuracy, it told me that I should be a um, bartender on a beach bar. I think it was enjoying too much of my my Zoom background. What just happened? Oh, that's not what I wanted. All right. So it gives you all these different ideas. So you can click on one and it will tell you to how to understand this role. Or you can say, I want to be a business analyst. And so here's more about that role. I think these are interesting. It's a good way to explore, but I found it a little too high level for our use. And so I think it's fun to explore, but I wouldn't make a job change based on this. I would consider this the start of a job search. So if I want to be a clinical research coordinator, to me, this is a start, not an end to that process. So, it will do a lot more, but that's a concept of it. Okay. Hopefully that helped.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Okay.
Amy said it's neat. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I mean, Google Dreamer is neat. It's a fun tool, and there's many tools like this. So, one thing that I always promote, experiment, experiment, experiment. This is what I found that worked, but everything changes so fast in the generative AI world. Try new things, see what they happen. I mean, the way I looked at it when I was starting on this pathway, I was unemployed. I was living my worst nightmare. So, what's the worst can happen? I get a job. Hey, there we go. So, um, don't be constrained by your fears. Get out there and be crazy. So, let's say that now you want to build your professional network because you found a role in industry in a company that you want to work for, and now you want to figure out um, how to get into that role. So I had fun and I used, where is it? I said, I want to be a digital transformation director, and LinkedIn gave me all these options, but to be honest, I've worked at Deloitte before. I'm not really excited to go back to work at Deloitte, but it gave me all these ideas, and think of this as the start of your job search process, not the finish. You're not going to apply to this role, but you're going to think, okay, that's interesting. That's maybe where I want to go, maybe where I don't want to go. But I know what I do want to do is think about digital transformation and healthcare. And just putting this into LinkedIn, you get different people. And by the way, if you feel that you don't have enough people when you do first, you can do second degree connections. And we are all connected to Kevin Bacon in 6 degrees or less. So you can do second degree. And I'm going to click on this person as a random example. I don't know him, but Cliff Schmidt knows him. So I can ask Cliff to introduce me to Tiger. And the idea being when you do this to make your connections, don't just try to connect directly with Tiger. Say, Cliff, I'm really interested and excited about leading digital transformation in different aspects of transportation and delivery. And I've looked at Tiger Harris's profile, and it looks really interesting, someone I really want to meet with. Can you please introduce me? Because what you want Cliff to say is, hey, Tiger, I would really appreciate if you met and talked with Wayan about digital transformation in transportation. So you want Cliff to create a social obligation for Tiger to interact with you. And that's the goal. So I did this. And if we focus on first, someone I came up here with is Michael Levy, who lives near me here in Chapel Hill. He is the CEO of Digital Health Institute for Transformation. Wow. And a professor of the practice in digital transformation. Oh, cool. And we are directly connected. So I could connect with him and talk with him and try to understand what does a digital transformation person do in the healthcare space. And go back over here. We want to build a professional network because we want to start testing our employment hypothesis. So I'm going to go, and Michael looks like an interesting person to meet with, but maybe I don't know what to say. And I think this is a lot of a challenge that people have. They don't know what to say. How do you make an introduction to Michael? Well, dear ChatGPT, I want to have an informational interview with Michael. That's actually his LinkedIn is Health Transformer. What commonalities do I have with them? Generate some emails. What are some unique questions I could ask him? Why would I ask them these questions? And here, the overeager graduate assistant has told us. Here's three different, here's commonalities that we have. Here's some email templates to use. So you don't even have to think of it yourself. Please do not copy paste. Please edit. So it sounds like it's coming from you as a human, right? But here's three ideas. And then here's insightful questions and why I would ask the question. Now, again, please do not say, excuse me, Michael, what was one pivotal moment when editorial strategy shifted your organization's ability to influence decision makers? Because that sounds like a computer question. Make it human, ask it to him in a human way, but now you understand over here on the right why you would be asking that question. Maybe you care, maybe you don't care, maybe that's a question that's interesting for you. But the idea is here is some example questions to help you figure it out. And here are follow-up questions so that you can now have, what's this, 20 questions? And you can turn around and ask AI, give me some more questions. So the idea here is you don't have to feel like you are trying to do outreach to somebody blindly. You can have AI help you do that outreach, which is so cool. Oh my God, you don't have to work at this. It'll do all the work for you. Okay. The other thing I want to show you is happenstance, which is pretty cool. Um, happenstance is a tool. It's the search that I wish LinkedIn had. So I asked happenstance, digital transformation director in healthcare companies in the mid-Atlantic states. Because honestly, I don't want to work too far from my home. Okay. And it gave me a whole slew of people that I am connected to or that my contacts are connected to. And then coming from out from this, I found Aditi and Katya. And like Aditi, I am not directly connected to her, but I have 13 connections to her. So 13 people I can talk to that can connect me to her. And with Katya, I have, wow, 32 people that could help me connect to her. And the idea again is I want to do an informational interview with her And so I can go over to ChatGPT and help me understand how I can make the introductions and what questions I should ask. Okay. There are,
Oh, excuse me, Wayan.
sure,
Um, as you did say, don't just copy and paste these things.
never copy and paste.
Yeah, and Barbara asked if you've had any luck training ChatGPT to provide responses with the human voice or any other training of AI to give responses closer to what you would with minimal editing.
So I have not found ChatGPT to be very good at that. I have found Claude to be really good at that. So here is I Claude helps me write career pivot um, articles, and I have gone in deep with Claude trying to teach it how to write like I write and how to write in a voice that I can appreciate and not have to re-edit all over. I found that ChatGPT never gave me good responses. Claude actually gives me a better response. But you can see here that I had to really, really teach it, though it's great. I said, Claude, how can I tell you the style in which to talk to me in? And Claude said, give me examples and I will learn from them. So I uploaded examples. Claude said, here's the style guide. I read through the style guide and said, no, 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 and made a little changes. And then I've used this style guide and I've edited over time. That said, when it gives me an answer, um, so here was one I wrote about the USAID mafia. Um, oh wait, where is the actual post? Yeah. So here's the post that wrote. I read it and I was like, that's still just not what I really wanted. So I had to rewrite it. So the point here is whatever Claude or any of these AI give you, it's never going to be perfect. You always have to go through, like, here's one around, let me see if I can show you. Here it is. So here's one about how job searching is like a tree in the middle of the road. And it was great because I could not think of how to connect the two, but it did, which really helped me. But I did not post this verbatim. I copied it and then I edited it because I wanted to sound like it came from me, not like it sounded like it came from AI. And so that is the idea is that I found Claude is great if you can teach it how to write something like you, but it'll never, as far as I can tell, get to the point where it writes exactly like you. And you are a human job searching. Please, please only do output that you reviewed and you believe in. Okay. I am keep stressing that because otherwise you get AI crap and everybody can tell it's AI crap and no one wants to read AI crap. So, okay. I think I was here at DT and Katya and how you can connect to them. And again, you can use ChatGPT to help you figure out how to connect with them. And the idea when you're doing informational interviews, there's three reasons to do the informational interview. And remember, it's an interview. You are interviewing them. You are asking them questions. So for a DT, for example, I'd be asking her, how does she is Accenture, she's working in health, she's doing all these cool AI things. I want to ask a DT, like, what are you doing? How is it working out? What matters? What should I be thinking about? What should I be concerned about? The same with Katya. I want to learn if I want this role by listening to her and then reflecting on that. I also, by interacting with Katya and asking her good questions, she realizes that I'm looking for a new job. I do not need to send her my resume. I do not need to say, "Hey, Katya, could you hire me?" That will be an instant turnoff. But she will understand that I'm looking for a job because I'm like, "Oh, that's great, Katya. You know, and I'm looking for a digital transformation role, and this is really an informative discussion." It's all you have to say. She'll understand it. And last but not least, in doing informational interview, you want to ask the question, so Katya, you know everybody. You're a top voice in LinkedIn. Hey, that's fancy. Who are three people that I should connect with to learn more about digital transformation in healthcare? So then you can say, hey, Mohammed, I was speaking with Katya and she said you're an expert in digital transformation and healthcare, and that I should speak with you because you would have great insight. And she actually recommended that you speak with me, hence the email. I'm making a social connection between and commitment between Katya and Mohammed for Mohammed to speak with me. Because who am I? If I just say, hey, Mohammed, talk to me, he's not going to care. But if I say, hey, Mohammed, Katya said you should talk to me, now there's a social obligation for him to talk to me. And that is the whole idea of testing your employment hypothesis. And you already saw this prompt that I was using in ChatGPT. All right. Now, whatchamacallit, let's think about you have a employment hypothesis, and you can now refine your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn based on that employment hypothesis. There's a really awesome cool tool that does a lot of this called Hiring Coach AI. Um, and if you want oop, Hiring Coach Career Pivot is a um, link to use, and I think you get a good discount for that, if not free. So it has many tools. I think the job tracker is pretty cool because as you can see here, it gives you all different kinds of status on tracking the jobs, including ghosted, which they ghosted me. Oh, no, actually, so I applied, as you can see here, back in April, and yesterday they told me that they weren't going to hire me. Is that still ghosted? I count ghosted. If you haven't responded to me in a month, you've ghosted me. But other people have told me, no, 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 it's not technically ghosting unless they haven't responded ever. If it takes you, what, May, June, and half of July to get back to me, that's ghosting my book. So make it with what you want. But you can track your jobs through here. And what I like is if you want to build a resume, so I have a master resume that I've uploaded, and I want to focus on a job, I can say, okay, well, tailor to a job. And this ghosting people is going to be the job I want. So, hiring coach will take your general resume, look at the job that you're applying to or want to apply to, and will create a tailored resume just for that job. Now, the cool thing is, it's pretty amazing what it's doing. And it goes so much faster than you having to go through and figure out, okay, what's the job asking for and how am I going to edit my CV for it? Um, but of course, the clear concept here, I'm going to say it again, it's your resume, your CV, your cover letter, your life.
Yeah,
You
so
should be in control.
yeah,
Go.
thanks, Wyatt. On this topic, Mary just asked if you confirm that AI will always need supervision, such as editing, fact checking, etc., at least in this stage of development. Is that right?
I would put it this way. For the foreseeable future, so all of 2025, AI is a overeager graduate assistant. It is excited, very excited to help you, and almost no clue how to do that best. So you need to give it direction, you need to review it, you need to fact check. Hallucinations, the polite way of saying AI totally makes crap up, is a feature of how AI works, not a bug. It will always make stuff up. If it feels it doesn't have a good answer, it's never going to say, I just don't know. It's going to say, oh, I will go figure something out here. So if you ask for, 10 healthcare companies that have a strong inclusion goal in that are based in Virginia, and there's really only six, AI might make up one or two or three or four just to reach the number 10 because you asked for 10 examples. So that is where you have to be a little careful and you always double check whatever it says. But here's a great example. So um, I love this where it gives you suggestions of which of different things that you can use for these points to respond to the job in the best way. And At the same time, if you're over here, you can always, oh, where is it? Um, edit this box too. So, you can make whatever changes you want and see the changes in real time in your resume. So again, you're going to want to do this. You're going to want to review it because it is your life, not the AI's life. And then it also does the same concept with cover letters. So again, these ghosted people, and it'll load your cover letter, and you can say, I want to be direct. I want to be enthusiastic. I'm excited about this opportunity. You want it to be, uh, accomplishment focused. And you have different sections here. So you can choose the section that you feel is most relevant. It will tell you kind of what it thinks the most relevant is, but you can always change it and edit it, which I like because it leaves you in control versus taking over control. And then I'm going to switch back over because one thing I want to really focus on is your LinkedIn profile. A lot of people leave their LinkedIn profile um, just kind of basic. So actually, Amy, I'm going to choose your LinkedIn profile. Oh, right, wrong browser. Um, because we're going to have some fun. Doop, 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 doop. And don't worry, I will show my own. Um, so here is Amy's. Well, Amy, this is great. But here's the fun challenge. I'm going to use mine as an example here. And I'm not saying mine's perfect. And actually, since I have a job now, I've changed it a little bit. But if you notice, this is the most, whatchamacallit, important real estate in all of your LinkedIn profile. You should be looking at the jobs you want to apply for, and this should reflect the jobs you want to apply for. So if you noticed, I wanted to be a strategic digital transformation leader. That's what it leads off with in my profile. This isn't what you did before. This is what you want to do now. And then notice that all of my headline here is all keywords. It is product management, new technologies, profitable growth, customer value, cross-functional teams. This is how you have to write your LinkedIn profile these days. Make it reflect the job that you want to have, just like your CV will, your resume will reflect it. Because recruiters today, if you make it past the first tranche, they will Google you, and your LinkedIn profile should be matching your resume. So, Amy doesn't have an about section. Um, your about section, notice you have 4 sentences here that most people will see. Very few people will click see more, but these first should be why they want to hire you. Not necessarily what you've done in the past, but why they want to hire you for the future. I'm a seasoned leader in digital transformation. Actually, I should have put award winning because I'm award winning in this. And then you have 2,600 characters. I haven't used 2,600. I actually deleted some when I got a job. But use all 2,600 characters because while the human will only see the first 4, the AI will see the rest. And that is what employers use to search for people to hire. They use what the AI is talking about. So, for example, down here, in each job, you get 2,000 characters. So I worked at, this is a company I co-founded and worked at for a while, using all 2,000 characters here. Well, we go look at Amy. Amy is not using any characters for each role that she is in. So Amy, I'm going to stop. I don't want to go too deep, but this is kind of the concept here. Um, and it's interesting. So notice this is USAID. I'm going to use this because I think it's a great example. I said USAID Senior Digital Development Advisor. That was my title at USAID, but if you noticed, I put here all this was accomplished when I was an institutional support contractor. Okay. I did not put my institutional support contractor company up here. No one knows Jefferson Consulting. I put USAID because that's what's known, but I put down here, hey, this is how I accomplished it as a institutional support contractor. So that's one way to make sure that you have your organization or title, the best one on your LinkedIn versus whatever you might actually have had. Um, so these are some fun tricks about your LinkedIn profile. The after your experience, the next thing that matters the most, skills. You should have all 100 skills show up here. If you're wondering, what skills should I put in? Dear ChatGPT, this is the job ad that I'm looking at. What are the key skills in this job ad? Aha, now you have key skills. Now you put them in the bottom of here in your LinkedIn profile because employers are going to be searching on those key concepts. Like, notice when I put in digital transformation and healthcare, it's picking up transformation, it's picking up digital, and it's picking up healthcare. If I don't have those keywords in my profile, I am not appearing in the search. Okay. Um, and I think I've gone through. Oh, I have even written a concept on it. Um, And then last but not least, network, network, network to get your way in. I have figured out that Aditi and Katya matter to me, so I'm going to talk to them. But I also figured out that I really want to work for Johnson and Johnson. So here's the concept. I'm going to go Johnson and Johnson into my LinkedIn profile and figure out who do I know that works at Johnson and Johnson. And I can figure out all the people that have worked there. Current Senior Director Medical Affairs. Wow. And do I actually have a first person connection to her? I do. This is exciting. This is the person that I want to talk to figure out if I'm going to work at Johnson and Johnson as digital transformation director and what that means. The idea being that Carla is in a meeting in the future and someone at J&J says, oh, we have this problem, and I think AI can solve it, but who could help us figure out that if AI could solve this problem? And I want Carla to say, oh, I know, call Wayan. And so that is your goal in networking your way in, that you've had a network and now people know you, know of you, and want to hire you for that role. And last but not least, experiment. Have fun with these AI tools. They are really cool, really fun, interesting, and people will hire you if you have AI skills. And this is something really wild. The vast majority of people have never, it's something like only 60% of Americans have ever even used AI once. If you have skills enough to create something like this, by the way, I used ChatGPT to create this little me in a box. And I just copied somebody else's prompt and pasted it. And wow, people are so impressed. But hey, if that gets me a job, that's what matters.
Um, and there's a great question from Amy about how much detail to put in the LinkedIn profile. We're given all this advice about really tailoring resumes and cover letters to a job description. So yeah, how much specificity for LinkedIn?
So think of it this way. Your LinkedIn profile should focus on a role. I want to be a digital transformation director in healthcare. That is a role. Your resume is, I want to be the digital transformation director at Johnson and Johnson in relation to this job ad for a digital transformation director at Johnson and Johnson in their medical devices division. So your LinkedIn is the role, so it's expansive. And then your resume is specific. It should, like as a recruiter, I should read look at the job description, read your resume, look at the job description and say, oh my God, this is a perfect match. And then I go and say, all right, hiring director, here's a perfect match. And then as a recruiter, I might Google your LinkedIn profile just to make sure, oh yeah, Wayan's talked about healthcare, talked about AI. Okay. And whoa, he has digital transformation director in his title. Wow, sounds like a guy that's ready to have this role. But I may search through his LinkedIn and never have Johnson and Johnson. I don't care. He hasn't worked here. that's why we want to hire him, because he's bringing in new ideas.
That makes so much sense. Thank you.
And Barbara, I think I'm ending on time. You wanted 5 minutes or so to close this out?
Before we hand over to Barbara, Wayne, I just want to share a couple appreciation comments
Sure.
from people. So Margaret had written that you're a true phenomenon. Thanks for all you do to guide and encourage. And Amy wrote that despite her misgivings about generative AI, the process you've described feels very organic and is really grateful for you breaking it down so clearly and sequentially.
Hey, well, you're welcome. That's the goal. It is something that it is very accessible if you push and have fun with it. Don't be scared. It is not something to be scared of.
And
And
one more,
sorry,
Hannah
go
just
ahead.
wrote, thanks for being such an inspiring leader. It's so far the best career advice she's gotten.
Ha!
Thanks.
I'm very honored. Thank you.
Okay, over to Barbara. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Wayan. This webinar was amazing. I had really just used ChatGPT before, and now, like, just seeing how all these other ones can be used in practice has been just so insightful. And so I appreciate you kind of showing us various tools and also these real world examples. So myself and the co-chairs have a couple announcements for those in the social behavior change working group. First is that we have our next webinar scheduled, and then this is our announcement of it. So you'll be receiving this on the listserv as well. But we will be hearing from Linda Bartfield, who is the VP of Social Marketing Association of North America, on how to translate social behavior change skills for work and domestic public health. So there's the registration link. You guys, get the first notice, and we'll be sending out a description and whatnot later. Also, we are curious to hear with all the changes this year in global health, kind of what your interests are as a member in the social behavior change working group. So we've made a quick member survey. So we'll be sending this out as well on the listserv, but if you would like to go ahead and enter your feedback and preferences before then, that's great. We are looking for responses before August 1st. So those are my two announcements. Again, thank you, Wayan, so much for this excellent webinar.
And you're welcome. And I actually put the presentation already, a link to the presentation in the chat already.
Thank you so much, everyone. And make sure to link with Wyatt on LinkedIn. He has a lot of golden nuggets there. If you are not already connected to him. Yeah. Thank you so much. And until next time.
Thank you.